I was in Washington, D.C., marching with 400 people in silence and breathing. And before visiting the Vietnam War Memorial, we stopped close to the Lincoln Memorial. And I said this, please do your best to prevent this war. I know that your country is beautiful. Your children are beautiful. But their country is also beautiful. Their children is also beautiful. Do your best to prevent it. Because once the war starts, hatred will be born. And it will drag on for many, many generations. Those of you who have touched the war directly, you are something like the flame at the tip of the candle. It's hot, but it has the power of shining and illuminating. I have suffered a lot. I have known what is the war. I have seen brothers and sisters dying. And I myself escaped death in a very narrow way. Now I realize that those of us who have experienced the war directly, we have a duty to bring the truth of the war to the people who did not have a direct experience about the war. And that is what I call the practice of looking deeply and sharing our insight. We are the best people that can do it.
Thich Nhat Hanh is a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, scholar, poet, and teacher. In his books and with direct action, he has been campaigning for world peace and reconciliation for over 50 years.
And I am qualified to talk to you like that because I am like you. We are born from the war. And we know what it is. But the war is not in us only. It is in everyone, veteran or non-veteran. We all have the war inside of us. The American soldiers who went to Vietnam, they did not went there alone out of their will. They had been asked to go. Who did the bombing? Everyone. Your president, your Congress, your Senate, your people. You are only the hand ordered to do that. Why keep the guilt only for yourself? Why keep the regret only for yourself? Why keep the shame only for yourself? If you begin to see, that is very liberating. If you have begun to see, you have to share it with people so that people will not force you to do it again.
In Nhat, 1967, my job in Vietnam was a crew chief on helicopter gunships. Every day was combat for me. 7 of us were walking into this village. We passed 3 Vietnamese men dressed as monks. They were maybe 20 meters beyond us, and they turned and opened fire on us with automatic weapons. They killed 5 of us, and they wounded myself and one other guy. So you couldn't trust anybody.
I know how one person would feel when he knows that he can be killed by the enemy, the so-called enemy, at any time. He has seen his friends ambushed and killed. He did not know whether he can go home alive. And he was entirely possessed by fear, despair, hatred. And in that state of being, atrocities can be committed very easily.
I went to Vietnam when I was 17 years old. I was wounded once, shot down once, and directly responsible for the deaths of over 50 people before my 18th birthday. You can't experience that stuff and ever be the same.
Now, many years have been passed, and you are calm enough to realize that the Vietnam War is not necessary. It's not necessary. We have to spend so much energy, so many human lives. Millions of people died in Vietnam. And there are still a lot of minds not diffused yet. There are many bombs, a lot of bombs that have not been diffused. And there are many bombs in our soul that have not been diffused either. And we need to diffuse the bombs in our soul first.
I came to this retreat because since my experience in Vietnam as an infantry officer in the Marine Corps and my participation in a lot of devastation and loss of a lot of my own men, I've felt a lot of pain and grief, shame, guilt, many emotions that I've been unable to deal with constructively.
I came to this retreat in my jeans and black turtleneck shirt and a black leather jacket and black Harley Davidson and black helmet and clearly to let people know that I don't want you to get too close. But I came, and I know the first night that I was sitting there and I saw this man, this Vietnamese Buddhist monk sitting on this riser. And I looked at him and I realized that I didn't know the Vietnamese people any other way but as the enemy. And suddenly I realized that he wasn't my enemy. And I just started to cry.
Look deeply to understand the truth about war. Many people think of the war as moral, as clean, as liberating, because they have not seen the truth. They don't want to deceive you, to fool you. But because they have not seen the truth, so don't blame them. Don't get angry at them. Try your best to show them the truth with loving kindness. If you get angry at them, if you consider them to be your enemy, that's not practicing looking deeply, because they may be victims of misinformation. We would be able to prevent the next war that might take place in 5 years or 10 years. Are you ready? Don't wait until it comes in order to begin. It is always too late. So our retreat is not to escape, but to have an opportunity to look more deeply, to see the truth as it is, in order to be able to find out a way that is effective. So breathing, walking, sitting, eating in mindfulness, and install peace within yourself and in your community. You see clearer and you know how to practice in order to avoid the next war. And by doing so, you are bringing elements of peace in your daily life and make the next war not coming, not happening. There was a soldier who saw many friends of his die in an ambush and became very angry. And he set up an ambush in a village and saw 5 children step on it and died. And from that day on, he suffered so much, more than 10 years. Every time he found himself in a room with children he could not bear, has to run out of the room. And the image of the 5 children dead because of his ambush just follow him day and night. I told him this. There are many children who are dying in this very moment in the world. There are children who just die because they lack just one medicine pill. And if you are mindful, if you know, you can bring that pill, medicine pill to that child, and you can save his life. And if you practice like that 5 times, you save 5 children. Because what to be done is in the present moment. 40,000 children die every day because of the lack of food, nutrition. And why do you have to cling to the past and think of the 5 who already died? There are those who are dying now. And you have the power to change things by touching the present moment. When I was 9 years old, I saw the drawing of a Buddha sitting on the grass. I was very impressed with that, because someone sitting on the grass, very peaceful, very happy. When you see that people are nervous around you, so when you see someone sitting quietly and peacefully and happily like that, you are impressed. And I wanted to practice, to be like that person.
Thich Nhat Hanh was born in 1926 in Vietnam, then part of French colonial Indochina. Thai, as he is known, grew up during a revival of Vietnamese Buddhism.
When I was 12 and 13, I had the opportunity to read and hear about engaged Buddhism, the practice of Buddhism in our daily life, in our society. The word engaged Buddhism was not used by that time, but the meaning was there. So I was motivated by that kind of desire, to apply Buddhism into our daily life, our society, and not just to practice Buddhism in the monastery. I became a novice at the age of 16, a little bit more than 16. And then the situation of Vietnam, the resistance against the French, the hunger that our people had to go through, the war, hunger, and political suppression, colonialism, these kind of sufferings call for action, call for practice in order for us to liberate ourselves. And the desire to shine the Buddhist insight on the situation was very strong. During the war in Vietnam, I escaped death several times. First, we had a war with the French. I was a novice. I was something like 20 years old. And that day, A French soldier came with his jeep, and he was looking for food, for rice. And he had a gun, and we monks, we only have our breathing in and out. We don't have anything else. During that time, many monks and nuns supported the resistance against the French. So, and the French knew that. And we should be very careful, because many of my Dharma brothers and sisters were killed by the French because they supported the resistance movement.
In 1954, Vietnamese forces defeated the French, and Vietnam was temporarily partitioned. By 1960, fighting had broken out between the American-backed government of the South and the North Vietnamese-supported National Liberation Front.
During the war in Vietnam, we experienced that kind of practice called engaged Buddhism. Suppose you are meditating in a meditation hall, and if you hear the bombs falling around, the meditation hall has not been hit by a bomb yet. You are safe. But since you are meditating, you are aware that the bombs are falling and destroying houses and people around the meditation hall. And you know that you cannot just continue to sit in the meditation hall. So you get out of meditation hall in order to help people. And that is called meditation in action. In a situation like the war in Vietnam, we had to learn to do both at the same time, meditating while acting in order to relieve the suffering. We need to do something in order to change the situation. And therefore, deep looking and deep acting is what we need. And deep looking is meditation. And deep acting is also meditation.
I decided to help poor people at the age of 20. I told my first teacher in Buddhism, I said that, why? Nobody cares for hungry children, for orphan, for poor and sick. And he explained some, but it was not satisfying me. And he said that, you better be enlightened and then you can save countless of people. But if you are not enlightened, you can save only one child. And I said that no, I want to be sure if I save one child, I save one child.
Chan Kong, a biology instructor by profession, had already been involved in social work before meeting Thai in 1960.
I cannot distinguish his social work, his enlightenment work. I say that one day when I find a way to help to relieve a lot of suffering, it is my enlightenment. And so I met with Thai, and then when I met with Thai, it's like the bird with the big wing. Thai said that it's beautiful work, and don't distinguish that merit work, social work, and enlightenment work. You can be enlightened. You can be enlightened in this work. This pleased me a lot, and all the work for poor people, I am like the hand, and he's like the head.
We founded the School of Youth for Social Service in order to practice Buddhism in a situation of war injustice. We followed a program of rural development. We created community schools in villages. We work with orphans, war victims. And I can say that we learn from many teachers. And among these teachers, our own suffering, our own difficult situations.
When the war spread everywhere, it's become very difficult. And instead of doing development work, we have to do a lot of bringing food to war victims. We knew that up mountain people are starving, and the only road is the river. And both nationalists in that side, communists in that side, they are shooting each other, and we have to climb. And we are in the between fire. So we put the Buddhist flag on our boat. Both sides respect. So we went through. Sometimes they are fighting so they cannot see us. But sometimes if they see, they stop. And we go up and we can save, we can brought food. And also there is a moment where I saw a baby full of blood and I want to save him. But all my bandage, my medicine brought along was gone. And how desperate I hold the baby and go back and try to find something to save. I understand how hard, how painful for a mother with a child like that. That experience helped me a lot. That even I have no children, but that is real experience. It can remind me for all my life that I will not satisfy to be enjoy only my individual peace. That I have to think of those who suffer because of that.
We had a beautiful campus. We trained social workers and sent them to the countryside to rebuild villages and to improve the quality of life in these poor areas. And in our campus, we had a beautiful Buddha hall made of thatch roof and bamboos. And I slept in a corner of the temple. And one day a rocket will fire into that roof temple, and I survived. Another time they threw a grenade into my room. And that day I don't know why I survived, because the curtain returned the grenade to the other room, exploded in the other room. Many student workers in the school were killed. We were in the middle. We wanted reconciliation. We wanted to stop the war. And we are very isolated because both sides have guns and allies. And they are very noisy with their propaganda machine and their guns. So sometimes we had to burn ourselves alive in order to get the message across that we don't want the killing of each other.
In 1966, Thich was asked to go to the West and speak on behalf of the people of Vietnam who belonged to neither of the warring parties. He met with religious and political leaders and worked with peace activists to reach audiences worldwide. In a nominating letter to the Nobel Institute in January of '67, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote, "I do not personally know of anyone more worthy of the Nobel Peace Prize than this gentle monk from Vietnam."
The anti-war movement was very violent, very angry here in the United States of America. I came and advocated for a ceasefire because I was under the bomb, and my friends and the majority of the Vietnamese people were under the bombs, and what we wanted is not a victory, just to be alive. And I have come to speak for them, that huge majority. In '66, when I came, and try to persuade you to arrange for a ceasefire. A very angry young American stood up in a meeting and shouted at me, "Why are you here? You should be home right now. The war is there. You should be fighting the American imperialist." He was shouting at me like that. I saw the war in him as a pacifist, because that kind of anger and lack of understanding is war itself. One day I was present in a demonstration in Philadelphia. I came invited in order to speak about the truth about the war. I did not come in order to show my anger. And a person came and asked me this, "You are a Buddhist monk?" I said, "Yes." "Are you from the north or from the south?" That is the way people think. If I were from the north, and then I am anti-American. If I am from the south, and then I am anti-communist. I said, I am from the center. We did not have the time to a longer explanation. In Vietnam, our voice was lost in the sounds of bombs and mortars. And here, our voice was blocked also by the two warring parties in the United States of America. The pro-war people and anti-war people, they were having a war.
Thich became chair of the Vietnamese Buddhist peace delegation to the Paris peace talks. He and Chang Kong worked there with others and also continued to secure support for reconstruction and education projects in Vietnam. Thich Nhat Hanh has not been back to Vietnam since 1966. Returning would almost certainly result in imprisonment or worse, and he has been refused permission to visit. Thich now teaches around the world.
Intervene as a new word is not in the dictionary yet, but I hope that very soon it will be in the dictionary, English. We have the word to be, but what I propose is the word to interbe, because it's not possible to be alone, to be by yourself. You need other people in order to be. You need other beings in order to be. Not only you need father, mother, but also uncle, brother, sister, society, but you also need sunshine, river, air, trees, birds, elephants, and so on. So it is impossible to be by yourself alone. You have to interbe with everyone and everything else. And therefore, to be means to interbe. Man is made of non-man elements. That is the insight brought about by the practice of mindfulness. If man is made of non-man elements, protecting the non-man elements is to protect man. There's no other way.
The fact of his having been through something like the Vietnam War forces him really to take heed of the crises of contemporary society, not just socially and politically, but also the ecological crisis and so on. And it's such an awareness, an integration of his Buddhist understanding with such issues that I find particularly heartening.
This person has got something to offer that people need to hear, that there's an ecological context to his philosophies and his teachings and his practices that is profound. And there's a language around it. The concept of interbeing is an ecological concept. And it's not alien to me at all. It's not, quote, spiritual to me at all. It's very real world. It's very necessary to the kind of work that I'm doing.
Many of the people in the environmental movement are very adversarial. They have to take a side. It's the side of protecting the environment. Of course, they've got a moral and ethical position that they're holding very clearly to. So here we're talking about reconciliation practice, non-duality. The hardest thing Thich Nhat Hanh has always said, the hardest position is the non-partisan position, not taking sides.
I've always been one of the rather angry activists. I've gotten in a lot of trouble too. And I think I have to rethink that after this week. I have to seriously rethink that. I want to get a copy of that letter. I want to think over a lot of Thai's remarks in regard to being peaceful in yourself before you address these issues. I've always thought that the anger was a very healthy thing, and I'm not so sure. The energy I've spent fighting lawsuits in recent years, I could have spent on environmental work instead.
I think a lot of people think of Buddhism, think of Zen as a very solo trip, just being on your cushion, just staring at the wall, just getting to know yourself, just getting in touch with your own feelings, or perfecting yourself. And that seems to me is a fairly uninteresting way to either investigate Buddhism or live your life. What you need to do is, in my own view, to take what you learn there out into the world.
If a person is not happy within himself or herself, how can the environment profit from him or her? And that is why we have to say two things. To protect non-man elements is to protect man. To protect man is to protect the non-man elements. That is the teaching of the Buddha.
He is the father of engaged Buddhism. And now there is definitely an engaged Buddhism, and a lot of people come to Buddhism which would not have come before because they would have found Buddhism too passive, too separated from the world, from social action. And a lot of people refer to him in that way and inspired by him.
This is a practice of mindfulness. Meditation is not to close your eyes and to be alone. You can do it otherwise too. Therefore, mindfulness will save us, and it should begin by ourselves and our family. Each of us in the family has pains in himself or herself, and there is a need to share that pain to another person. In order to be truly happy, we need to be understood, right? We need to be understood. And love is, first of all, an attempt to understand someone. And therefore, practicing, sitting and listening is the practice of love. And many of us believe that happiness is an individual thing, which is so wrong. And we are looking for our individual happiness that can never exist. Look at the mother and the daughter. We know very clearly if one of them is not happy, the other, there's no way for the other to be happy. So happiness should be understood in the light of interbeing. When you make your mother smile, you feel happy because you see happiness on her face, and that nourishes you, that makes you happy. So the best way to be happy is to make the other person happy. That's what I learned from my practice. I come from a tradition where the community or practice in each temple is organized like a family. That is why we call father teacher, sư phụ, Dharma brother, Dharma sister, sư huynh, sư muội, and so on. And only in the atmosphere of a family where there is love and care that the transformation can take place easily.
After the war, Tai and Chang Kong were exiles in France. They found a small property outside Paris for a community home and retreat center, which was quickly outgrown. By 1982, a few rural properties in southwest France were assembled to create Plum Village.
The bell is the main authority of practice here at Plum Village, and you will hear it in the form of a telephone, in the form of the big bell outdoors, in the form of many small bells, different kinds of small bells. When you hear the bell, whether it's a big sound or a small sound, that's time to stop. And stop your movement, try to stop your thinking, stop your talking. And this is one of the great liberties at Plum Village. You have all the support of the whole community to really stop, maybe for the first time in many days or months.
It's not so much the discourses and the teachings that I find so valuable, although many of them are very good, but it's how he imbues the place with the force of his personality. Perhaps more than just his personality, the force of his history, of his life. To know that someone who's been through what he has been through is able to come through that with the kind of simplicity and compassion and understanding that he evidently possesses is extremely inspiring.
In Plum Village, we have monks and nuns who practice. So there is an aspect of Plum Village that can be called a monastic life. We also organize mindfulness retreat for people, including refugees and their friends. And there are friends who come from many countries to practice mindfulness and transform the pain and suffering within themselves. So Plum Village has so many aspects. It is. Sometimes it looks like it is very much of an international communities.
There is the development of Plum Village as a resource center for the Vietnamese people who are in exile right now. It is also a resource center for Buddhist practitioners who are dedicated to really seeing the practices take root in their society. It's a resource center for families to find peace and happiness in the nuclear family, but also in relation to a wider community.
Plum Village to me is a place where I can return back to my Vietnamese roots because I'm not too familiar with it, having lived in the United States for 15 years. So it's just a place where I can learn to appreciate my culture and my heritage.
People here really want to find peace in themselves. That's why they come to see this teacher. The Vietnamese people who come in Plum Village really want to find their roots, the ancestral way of life. So once a year they can wear the clothes of their ancestors or the clothes they used to wear when they were in the country. They speak all day their language. They don't have to speak the language of a foreign country. And all of the Vietnamese are refugee here for 1 month. We are full Vietnamese, and we can act as Vietnamese very freely. And it's a Buddhist village, so the Buddhist way of life is very important and attracts many people.
Plum Village helped me to remember my past, my childhood, and to keep me live in the present moment, and to make me sure of myself for the future.
Plum Village is very actively working towards the alleviation of world suffering. Many people who live here at Plum Village spend a good deal of their time responding to letters of people all over the world, especially in Vietnam and in refugee camps in Southeast Asia.
I send directly the parcel of medicine to the family, and I teach the children how to use medicine. I said that you can exchange 1 box of aspirin into 15 kilograms of rice. Some of them feel very grateful to me and say that what way they can help and they can show their gratitude. I said that if you want to show your gratitude, you just share 1/10 of the gift I give you to a needless family, poorer than you, and report to me. And slowly I can reach the poorest.
The plum trees at Plum Village are a very vivid reminder of the world of suffering beyond Plum Village. 1,200 trees were planted through the efforts of children raising the funds, many thousands of children all over the world who raised the funds to buy the trees. The trees were planted so that eventually they could be harvested and the benefits go to the hungry in Vietnam and other places of the world.
I remember at one point going up to Sister True Emptiness, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to apologize for all of the killing. And when I saw her, I couldn't say it. And all I could say was that, I'm interested to go back to Vietnam. How can I do that? And she said to me, first you need to come to Plum Village so you can learn to be with the Vietnamese people in a different way. She said, come in July. There's many Vietnamese people there, and you can learn to be with them in a different way. And I said, I would like to come, but I don't have the money. And she said to me, don't worry about the money. We'll bring you. In my own people, my own country, and never made an offer like that for me, ever. I listened to this Vietnamese monk encourage me to really look deeply at the nature of my suffering, to not be afraid to touch that. Because until I touch that, it cannot be transformed. It can't. If we don't touch our suffering, we can never know happiness. We can only have the idea of happiness, which is very different from the reality of happiness. And somehow by coming here and just putting myself in the path, being willing to change, being willing to do something different, something is happening.
It was so terrific when he said to us, and all of us war veterans and peace veterans, when he said, suppose you had broken the precept not to kill. You've broken that commandment not to kill. And you had killed 5 people. And many of the people here have killed people. And then he said, you don't have to ask forgiveness of God or Buddha or Vietnamese people. That's not what you do. You have a chance to begin anew. And he said that was a profound Buddhist practice, to begin anew.
I just met a little man that was able to tell me not only how to take care of that without locking it away again, but more or less how to take care of all the other situations and complications that had arisen over a period of time, how to take care of them now, and perhaps how to keep my stability in the past and in the future. And that was very fortunate for me. It's really nice when you're not looking, or when you're looking and searching and you can't find, and then all of a sudden it's there. And with him, he makes it so basic, so easy, so applicable. No one else is needed to intercede. This is something that I can continue by myself when I leave here.
Thich has the amazing ability to make it practical in the sense of, here's specifically what you can do in your environment. First, you take care of yourself, and then you take care of those most of it. You don't have to go to Vietnam to fix the world, which is a thing that I always thought, well, I've got to go back and fix what I did. And he said this morning, he said, you don't need to go save the children that were lost 25 years ago. You can save 5 children on your own block. And that's such a pragmatic approach to things. And it's something you can grab a hold of, and it's something I can go back to New York tomorrow and put into effect on Monday.
Vietnam is something which is ongoing, and that we must ensure that it doesn't happen again, or at least do our best to see that it doesn't happen again. When he said that to us on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, he just cut right to my heart, and I vowed there to just continue on in whatever way I could, to use my experience as a way of helping other people understand about war.
What I've heard Thich Nhat Hanh invite me to do, invite all of us veterans to do, but I heard him invite me to do, is to talk like this, to say this is the nature of the war. I believe that without telling people, without talking about that truth, that war will continue. Because I don't think that war begins with a declaration and ends with an armistice or a surrender. You know, war is going on about us every day.
If you don't practice sitting like a mountain, breathing like a flower, you cannot change the situation. And therefore, learn to sit, to breathe, to walk so that you are your best. You become your best. And peace can be the fruit of our practice. One person, when she is solid, fresh, and loving, can do a great deal of things. One person, to me, is a lot. And each of you care to practice. Each of you can become a real power for change. The miracle is not to walk on water or on burning charcoal, but to walk on earth. It shows us that life is a miracle. Life is something wonderful. If we are awake, if we are mindful, and then we are in touch with the wonders of life, you can be very happy just walking on earth. That is already a miracle. Peace is every step. The shining red sun is my heart. Each flower smiles with me. How green, how fresh, all that grows. How cool the wind blows. Peace is every step. It turns the endless path to joy.